Hey, be a squid and subscribe to my mediocrity. How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be doing the Daemon X Machina actual review. I know I'm probably super fucking late. I'm not even probably, I really am late, but I just got into the game. It's been an absolute phenomenal experience, and I wasn't gonna make a video, but then I was like, nah, I gotta talk about this. This is definitely worthy of making a video on. Now I'm gonna be real with you here. This is not the Armored Core replacement. It's just not as intense and doesn't bring the speed and intensity that Armored Core had at one point. But alternatively, it comes pretty damn close. I have been looking for a good mech combat-based game with deep customization options and fancy high-flying combat, and Daemon X Machina definitely scratches that itch for me in a number of ways. To start off softly, the customization was a bit underwhelming at first, but that's to be expected given the fact that you just started the damn game. But then, as I progressed further and further into the story, I found myself just completely overwhelmed with different gear pieces, weapons, and attachments. It was literally a wonderland of fucking customizations, and it was great. I actually couldn't even really keep up or understand what was even worth using and what wasn't worth using. After some more hours of gameplay and some Google searches into certain builds and what works, I found that basically anything in terms of PvE content, anything is practically useful, from swords to assault rifles to goddamn dual-wielded rocket launchers. It's all completely viable, and it's pretty good. Obviously, certain situations you're gonna maybe get more use out of one weapon than others, but I mean overall I never really had to switch my build off of a weapon because it wasn't working, or if I needed a different weapon to complete a mission. That just never really happened to me. Just for the sake of an example, let's take one of the first bosses you fight, which is called Gunfort. This is a fortress that looks like a fucking crazy spider, and it has a million guns on it shooting at all angles, and it jumps up in the air, and it's a crazy boss, right? And when I first beat it, I used a dual SMG build, which it worked out perfectly fine. I still shredded the boss pretty easily. It is one of the easier bosses in the game, but I found that I could do it even faster with dual-wielded rockets, and I took down the boss in less than 30 seconds. It was pretty damn phenomenal, and I was just completely ecstatic about the situation. And another example would be for more dueling situations against other enemy arsenals. It's better to use swords or just dual-wielded SMGs for the quick bursts of damage. And I gotta be honest, it doesn't really matter. It's still useful. If I want to run dual-wielded rockets against other arsenals, or if I want to run a sword build against the boss, it'll work. It just, it'll add a certain level of difficulty, but I mean, it's never going to be to the point of I can't do this level because I'm using this build. I've never had that happen to me. Currently, I'm experimenting with laser weapons, and they're just as useful and fun as anything else. I'm sure the rockets and swords and SMGs are kind of like the meta at the moment, but I mean, you can still experiment with outside weapons that may seem a bit more odd or whatever, but I mean, it's still pretty fucking good. Honestly, I could go on and rave about the customizational options, but this video would be legitimately fucking forever long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip to the next part of this video. So moving on to combat, this is where you kind of feel the lack of power behind your weapons and the satisfying sound design that if you've ever played Armored Core, you would know, the bang, the boom, the buildings being destroyed whenever you slash through a mech, or you're shooting a rocket or an assault rifle. There is a certain satisfying feeling behind that, and you can feel the weight behind your weapons. And Daemon X Machina is kind of just not in that same ballpark at the moment. The gameplay overall feels fine in terms of functionality, but it's just not what I'm looking for in a mech-based combat sort of simulation game. Most of the guns sound like toys, the swords are only the real weapons that feel like they have any kind of weight behind them, and most of the heavy weapons, I guess, sound and feel decent. I just wish there was more bang behind the guns, especially the assault rifles. I think those are the ones that sound the most absurd. I've had a variety of different assault rifles throughout the entire game, and they all just kind of sound like, I don't know, like weird, unimaginative sound designs. There's just no bang behind them, and though this is just me being nitpicky about just, the combat and whatnot in terms of just sound design, but believe me, it definitely earns a lot of points if you can fucking at least have some bang in there. But aside from that, I don't really have much to say about the combat. It runs smoothly, no glitches or bugs or awkward handling of your mech. It's just like, you know, a baby version of Armored Core's combat, essentially. Just weak sound design, and that's about it. But you'll still find the satisfying combat, you know, especially when you're on the ground, you can really feel the speed and intensity in terms of just zipping around and dashing through that. That's the only time I ever feel like, yeah, this is the Armored Core experience right here. But even then, it still falls just a little bit short. Now, as for the story, what I can say is this kind of falls in the anime story category of I don't really care what the fuck is going on, but I have kind of been paying attention here and there, and from what I have paid attention to, it's not bad or anything, at least not as bad as Code Vein's shit story. It's just, it just falls into that category, you know, like you just kind of skip past the dialogue boxes. There's not really enough cutscenes that give you that feeling of wanting to get invested. It's just not conveyed in a very good way. From what I can tell, you're this rookie mercenary who just wows everyone with your amazing piloting skills, and mission after mission, you're just making a name for yourself despite you always being referred to as the rookie for some godforsaken reason. And this is probably what I hate the most, is that like you're this person that's just this god tier pilot, you know, you're just doing it, you're taking out veterans that have been in the game for years, and all of a sudden you're still the rookie still. You're like, you've been a crazy pilot, you've been on countless missions taking down crazy mechs and other fellow mercenaries, and there's no progression whatsoever in terms of the dialogue. You are just always going to be seen as a rookie, despite the fact that there are people that are literally jealous of your skills and wanted to kill you because you are just overall a better pilot. That's just kind of how it starts out, and eventually you get to a point where some fuckery is going on and you're being forced to fight fellow mercenaries that you fought alongside once or 1,000 times, and at like one point the moon was falling or some shit, and at that point I kind of just checked out. I was like, I don't care anymore. This is too convoluted. I'm not gonna dock too many points off for the story not being top tier or anything. I just wish it was conveyed in a slightly more efficient manner where it would get a person invested with either better cutscenes or voice acting and whatnot. So I don't know, it's not top tier. Now, one key thing I do want to mention about this game is you actually have combat outside of your own arsenal mech, which is really fantastic. In case you're a little confused, you have your main combat, which is you're inside of your own arsenal mech and you're fighting other arsenals and whatnot. Sometimes you will actually have to forfeit your own arsenal and do combat outside of your own mech, which is just fantastic. It's a great switch up. And the mission idea is pretty fucking cool too. Like the first time I did it, it was about like corporate espionage, and you had to sneak into this military base and steal another arsenal and then escape with that said arsenal via a tunnel while dodging pursuers. And it's just like this really fantastic movie going experience, and it felt really great. That was one of the points in the game where I really paid attention to the story, because I really liked the idea of myself. I have no mech whatsoever. I have to sneak into this military base, steal this mech, and escape. It's really cool. It's like some Solid Snake shit, you know? And that was a really nice change up from the combat that I've been used to. I'm just constantly in a mech all the time, and now I'm stripped of my super broken mech, and I have to be really careful about what I do, because I'm gonna fucking die and I'm gonna fail the mission and not do this corporate espionage nonsense, which is just fantastic. It might seem like just a small feat to you, but I gotta be honest, that shit's hella fire to me, and I'm really glad that Daemon X Machina at least changed up the combat from just pure mech based to now there's a little bit of stealth involved and stealing, thievery, and whatnot. So I don't know, it's like I said, it may seem small, but I think it's fucking great. Now, the last couple things I want to talk about is the voice acting as well as PvP. So we'll start and just knock out the voice acting really quick. So this is probably one of the more negatives about the game, which every anime game once again kind of falls into the same category, where It's not good. The voice acting on the Japanese side of things seem to be more better at conveying emotions and just overall delivering better lines. It doesn't make it better by a marginal increase or anything, but it's just, I would rather hear somebody that's really trying versus the English dub voice actors, which just sound like people reading from a script, and with the poor shoddy animations that are going within certain cutscenes or dialogue boxes, it overall just adds to the severe boredom that the story tries to convey. And as far as PvP goes, it's pretty self-explanatory. Don't fucking play it. It's just trash. It's pure trash, unbalanced garbage. Steer clear of it by all means. In conclusion here, boys, Daemon X Machina is pretty fucking good for a slightly downgraded Armored Core knockoff game, and it's also on the Switch. I'm giving this bad boy a fucking 9 out of 10. Yeah, that's right, this fucking game is amazing. I highly recommend it to the max. I know it sounds like I took a complete shit on this game via the story and voice acting and the PvP and whatnot, but I gotta be honest, it's regardless of those aspects, I'm still severely invested into this game. The combat alone is fantastic enough for me to just keep playing non-stop. Not to mention, it's on the Switch. This game is on the damn Switch and it runs pretty fucking good. So I can't sit here and be like, yo, this game is like 5 out of 10. Nah, man, it's really good. It's really fucking good. Alright, me buckos, I think that's where I'm gonna end the video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.